So while the Bears and Packers get us to our Monday as they finish off Sunday on Sunday Night Football in Lambeau Field, for the most part, Bears fans are trying to find things to get excited for when it comes to this matchup so late in the season with not much on the line for the Chicago Bears, unless we're talking about you're looking for Justin Fields or you're trying to see what David Montgomery does, how Allen Robinson looks. There are little things we could look at, but in the big picture of the Chicago Bears and their future moving forward, it's kind of hard to get excited for this game unless you force yourself to just get excited for Bears versus Packers and it's Sunday Night Football. So I think we'll just go around the cubicle and we'll break down some of the things that we're looking for in this matchup between the Bears and the Packers on Sunday night. And what I'm really interested in to start off with is, what do you want to see from the Bears on Sunday Night Football besides a win? Which we know in the NFL, it's weird to say, but besides a win, an upset against the Green Bay Packers, what are you looking for from this game?
Oh, that is a good question, Mercado. I don't know, a competent head coach? Does that count? I guess if I want to see one thing, I'd like to see just promise with the offense. Because the Bears this year have not scored. The most they've scored in a game, I believe, was 24 points, and that was against the Detroit Lions. You should be obliterating the team that has won one single game this entire season. And at the time, they had won none. So I would really like to see this offense improve here because I think that's the Bears' biggest struggle. The defense isn't terrible. I can say that with confidence. But if I had to pick one thing, I'd like to see the offense because I think that's what's causing this team problems. I'd like to see promise that this offense could be a contender for the NFC North. Well, not so much now that this is Aaron Rodgers' division, but for years, the NFC North was a huge offensive division. That's why guys like Lovie Smith, these huge defense guys, they couldn't hack it here. So I like to see promise with this offense.
A close loss and no injuries. Those are my goals. The season is lost, no matter what they say, that they're maybe a game or two out of the playoffs or whatever nonsense. But, I just don't want Rodgers to own them. He should have a smaller share of stock in the team after this game. They should. It's a Sunday night game, which was not flexed out for some unknown reason. And it's one of the oldest rivalries in the league. And I just don't want them to be embarrassed on Sunday night like they've been embarrassed on national TV so many other times. A game like against Detroit would be nice. But Green Bay isn't Detroit. It's just so weird. Detroit loses to Minnesota, and Minnesota shellacks Pittsburgh. So you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they will have a miracle win. But a close loss is my goal.
Well, knowing what we know about this matchup and what it means or lack thereof for the Bears specifically in the standings, especially without a first-round draft pick coming up, because you invested in Justin Fields, should Justin Fields even be playing if he is still dealing with pain with 3 cracked ribs? We heard him talk about that he was still feeling a little iffy with it, but it's all about pain tolerance and management according to the team and the doctors. So should Justin Fields even be out there?
This season is over. I'm sorry. There is no hope for this season. The Bears are not going to the playoffs, and if they do, they're not going anywhere. And what's the point of going to the playoffs then? To sell some T-shirts? Come on. I want to go back in time here because there was another guy. He played through an injury. He was supposed to be the franchise of the team. What was his name? Oh, yeah, Robert Griffin III. In the playoffs, they pushed him. He had that really bad knee injury. It cost him the game, and honestly, I think that's what really ruined RG3 because he was never the same after that. And that was their franchise quarterback. Justin Fields is the guy, and if you want to make this guy your franchise to make up for all the crap quarterbacks you've had that you tried to make the franchise of, you got to take care of him. If he's hurt, bench him. You paid Andy Dalton $18 million. Play him. This team's going nowhere, and if Justin Fields is hurt, you know what? Bench him. Get your money's worth on Andy Dalton here.
Clearly, no. Why risk the next 12 years of the future of the franchise for one game, which, in my opinion, is meaningless? Therefore, I would not play him if there's any doubt whatsoever that his future is in danger or impaired for a game that, albeit national TV, big game against Green Bay, but it's not worth it to jeopardize the next dozen years of the franchise.
If the Bears get blown out tonight, is this the game after Sunday Night Football against the Packers that we finally see the possible firing of both Matt Nagy and or Ryan Pace? Is this the moment where the McCaskies are finally furious and fed up, and an embarrassing moment on Sunday Night Football against your arch rival is the Monday after this matchup, the day there is turnover in the front office and the coaching staff?
I have seen a lot of Bears games over the years, and in the middle of the season, could there be a firing of the coach, the general manager? History says no for the coach. General manager possibly, but my feeling on the coach is, okay, so now the coach is Bill Lazor or whatever, for the rest of the year. So it doesn't really do anything. I mean, they can start their search for a coach now, but the axe will fall in January, in my opinion.
What does my shirt say, Mercado? Fire everyone. Even if they don't get blown out, I say get rid of them. You got a clean house in this office here. I'm sorry. But Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy need to go. I've been saying that since week 1. And here's the thing. Getting blown out by the Packers are in first place. If they beat your you-know-what, I understand it. That's a damn good team. So, no, I don't think this is the game that'll get them fired. Even if they get blown out, I don't think this will be the firing game. I think the firing game was weeks ago. I think that game against the Browns was your firing game. I think they need to be fired game was the day they signed Andy Dalton for $18 million because they didn't know they're going to draft Justin Fields. Hell, they might not even be thinking a quarterback. They all need to go. We need to clean house. As Marver says, let's move on.
Now, a little bright spot or a little hope that Bears fans had going into the season and that they are holding on to heading into next season and seasons moving forward is the future of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So let's put you guys up against it. Do you think this is the final time Aaron Rodgers plays the Bears at Lambeau Field? Now, pay attention. The last time Aaron Rodgers plays the Chicago Bears at Lambeau Field.
Honestly, after last year, I don't think the Packers are going to do anything to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, but his contract is up and he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. I think he'll stay there, but I also thought Tom Brady would stay with the Patriots, and look how that turned out here. Do I think the Packers are going to offer him a contract? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to sign it? Anything's possible in Mercado here, so Aaron Rodgers this year does not look like he's slowing down, and we haven't really seen too much from Jordan Love, so I'm not fully sure what Green Bay wants to do with him. So I guarantee Green Bay will offer him a very small contract, like 2-3 years. They'll be not small in money, obviously, but small in years. Honestly, I think he'll stay with Green Bay, but if he were to go to another team, I would not be surprised.
There was some question about that going into the year. Now, I feel that there's a good chance that Russell Wilson will end up with either the Green Bay Packers or the Pittsburgh Steelers, depending upon which one of the veteran quarterbacks doesn't come back. Russell Wilson is going to be moving, in my opinion, from Seattle after the season.
So I guess before we move on to a really busy show here on the Sports Cubicle with Devin, Tingle, Paul Shivari, Dan Marver, and myself, Mike Mercado, I just want to take a temperature around the cubicle of how people are feeling heading into this really big spotlight on national TV. So how would you describe your emotions right now towards the Chicago Bears and watching Chicago Bears football?
As fired up as I am right now, my emotions towards the Bears are just meh. That's it.
I think that the ratings won't be that good nationally. Locally, probably good because Chicago is a Bears town. They'll watch the Bears no matter what, and it's on NBC, which can be received over the air, so there's no cable or anything. So the ratings will be good, but and it's an old rivalry. So I just feel like the game is my feeling towards them is pretty benign. I was excited for the first half dozen games of the season, but now it's like, let's see what happens in 22 almost. I just feel very ambivalent about the team. It would be interesting to watch them, but I don't have the enthusiasm I had in October, that's for sure.
I think it's so fascinating that we got to this point of the season for the Chicago Bears and this management, this coaching staff. We talked about it throughout it from Marvelous One and from Devin. There's a lot of apathy towards this game, a lot of apathy towards this team. When we're watching this game tonight, when you're watching this game tonight, I think we all just want the same thing. We want to see a pro football team just be competent. We know that they're the underdog. We know there's a good chance they're not going to win this game, but we don't want them to continuously to embarrass themselves, to look like they're playing in slow motion compared to some of these other teams we see throughout the entire day. You're going to watch a whole plate of football leading into this game. You're going to see how offenses have evolved, how defenses, even when they lose key players, find ways to stay in games. And you haven't seen this from this Bears team. We want to see them stay healthy. We want to see development from Justin Fields. Doesn't matter whether Aaron Rodgers is a Packer next year or not. I mean, it would be great for Bears fans to see him in Denver. I mean, it'd be awful if Russell Wilson ends up over here like the Marvelous one said. But regardless of where Rodgers goes, you still got to take care of what's happening inside your franchise right now. And do you trust the people doing that right now? So whether or not you get blown out in this game, the decision should have been made a long time ago. And if it hasn't, then that's negligence by the ownership and by the people in charge. So we'll see how this game plays out. The NFL is crazy. Anything can happen. But what I do know is going into this game, people aren't feeling this team. People aren't feeling this management. People aren't feeling this coaching staff. The very little glimmer of hope is on David Montgomery, a running back that runs so hard, who knows how long you're going to be lucky enough to have him. A Darnell Mooney, who we've seen development, but still has long strides to go to be a top 15 wide receiver. And obviously Justin Fields. If you don't see Justin Fields on the field, and you don't see where he's at, it has been a lost season. Am I worried because he does have cracked ribs? Absolutely. Do I trust NFL doctors or NFL franchises with their players? No. But you do need to get film on this guy. I think he's got the goods. But you have to see if he's been damaged because of what's happening this season, or if there is a bright future with him. You got to figure this out. And regardless of what happens on Sunday night, you got to get out of it healthy, and you got to make sure that you pick the right people to put this team in the proper place to win moving forward. But let us know your thoughts. Even though there's a lot of bad vibes heading into this Sunday night game, and Marvelous thinks it's not going to do a great rating. History has shown, no matter the record, this game is like Teflon. So are you going to be watching it? Do you care about it? What are you interested in this Bears versus Packers matchup on Sunday Night Football? Let us know. We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. If you miss any one of our segments, check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts at Mercado Airwaves Network, and of course, our SoundCloud to check out the Sports Cubicle and all the amazing shows on WCPT on SoundCloud.com/WCPT 820 AM. We have a jam-packed show coming up for you. Paul Shivari lets us know the impact of Minnie Minoso finally joining the Hall of Fame with Buck O'Neil. And we have a in-depth conversation with friend of the show, Robert Scott, about the NBA and your Chicago Bulls who've been ravaged by COVID-19. It's a jam-packed show here on the Sports Cubicle with Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, Paul Shivari, and I'm Mike Mercado. Stay with us.